Hey, I don't know about you guys, but when my RC is down because I'm missing something like a servo, that's when I really start tinkering big time. Because when I'm running it, I kind of like to leave it alone, you know, until something breaks. Because I'm having fun with it. I don't want to tear it apart. But I wanted to show you, get the articulation measurement out of the way right away. We got a solid 8 inches, okay, which is a lot. Probably more than I need. I could probably limit it that if I wanted to by putting fuel line over the shock, over the shock rods. You can see each shock fully compressed, okay, no link bind anywhere, okay, nothing binding anywhere. I remade my upper links and I reattached them on a different position on the chassis. I'm much happier with it. Put the Wraith shocks on instead of the little other shocks. The other shocks, something happened to them. One of them was extending about 3 millimeters more than the other. It was whack. Got a little bounce in the tires because I got my air holes plugged. But the suspension itself is extremely compliant. You can see I've got my shock springs all the way opened up, so there's almost no tension, and I can easily make the ride much stiffer, front or back, just by dialing it in, which I really like. Before, I had to move the shocks around to get the front to change. So I'm real happy with that. But I think probably the most exciting thing that I've accomplished out of all my tinkering this morning is I've finally gotten all 4 wheels in contact when the crawler's upside down. They're not just in contact. I can lift the shell up about a 1/2 inch, so nothing is even touching. I'm not even dragging any part of the shell or suspension. And I've got all 4 wheels rolling, which is going to really help when I want to flip myself around and I'm upside down. I was having problems before because of the way everything was set up, and I didn't have enough, actually didn't have enough travel because of the short shocks, and also because my front links were a little screwed up. But you can see there's still plenty of action left on the shocks. You come up this much more in the back. You can see there's this much on these shocks. You can come up this much more. And that is going to be huge, huge when I finally get it running again. Right? It's got a great balance point with nothing in it at all, just the way it is. It's front heavy with no electronics or battery or anything. It's a little bit front heavy, just how I like it. Real happy with the behind the axle steering mod. I reworked it again this morning. I didn't like it. I want to show you. I've got the little tiny short link on the top, going to the servo, see? Doesn't touch anything. Got this link below everything now. I had it above before and it was just too complicated and there was too many places it was just barely binding, and all it takes is just a little bit of bind to start burning out a servo, you know what I'm saying? As you can see, I got nothing touching now, no matter how it's articulated, up or down, doesn't matter. It's still moving freely, so I'm really happy with that. So the behind the axle mod is going to make a giant difference in how this gets up on the rocks. As you can see, you can't even see the tie rod, can't even see that link at all. The thing that's really low now are these nuts. I may flip this around so that the screw heads are on the bottom. I can even countersink the screw heads so they're flush. So if this turns out to be a drag point, I have a way of remedying that, no problem. I can just flip it around and I I can use flathead screws and countersink it. And it'll be almost flush. So there it is, man. Tinker, tinker, tinker. The endless mod. I told you it was going to be an endless mod. This doesn't look much like a RedCat anymore, does it? What do we got left that's RedCat? Axles and motors. I've got my electronics over here. I'm getting ready to do some rework on them. I want to get everything cleaned up. I want to get everything looking super tidy, super neat. I was having problems with my motor wires where I had them. I was just kind of using them how I had them, and they were just taking too much flex. So I'm going to totally rework the motor wires, everything. This servo's dead. As you can see, it has no wire, so it's just for mock-up. But I have a feeling there's a servo in this box over here. Might be time to stop tinkering pretty soon. Get this thing back together so I can run it. I am such a happy man. I have a little Bluebird servo here that was on the axial. I'm going to replace it with something different. But what it does is it allows me to finally test the system. Yay. That's basically lock to lock right there. I've got the EPA set to 80% so that the servo isn't straining. That's basically maximum throw. That's, if I turn off the power here, I'll show you what maximum throw is. That's it. You see how close the tire gets, basically. Right there, and right there. So that's maximum throw, and that's what I was getting. And do a little reset. At that point, I'm getting just an incremental tiny bit more. And I have a feeling I'm starting to pull against the universal. I don't want to do that either. I think that's it. I'm wondering how much that's straining the universal. It's all the way over. Still feels like it's turning pretty good. Guess we'll find out when I run it. Alright then. Bench testing accomplished. Well, check it out. The Rockbird is alive, better than ever. Got everything all tidied up, rewired it. Shouldn't have any problems at all with the wiring now. I resoldered the leads so that they would be completely out of the way, and I taped the leads to the motor to stop them from wiggling at the solder point. Sometimes you just got to use some electrical tape, I think, you know, if you really want it to not move at all. No problems with anything conflicting. Everything works. And the steering works. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to run it and show you how the universals sound, what they sound like when they're running. As you can see, I got nice smooth start up. Both motors are starting up about the same time. You can see there's plenty of, you know, when I stop running, the wheels run very free. As I turn it, you'll notice it makes a little, kind of almost like dog bones. See that little vibration? But it's not near as bad as dog bones. But there's still some vibration there. So I'm real excited. I can't wait to go try it out.